Comics. I'm Joe Getcho, and this is SpideyJoe's One Shots. Today I'm going to be covering a crossover event from 2016-2017 called Spider-Women. It involves issues number 7 and 8 of Silk, written by Robbie Thompson, issues 7 and 8 of Spider-Gwen, written by Jason Latour, and issues 6 and 7 of Spider-Woman, written by Dennis Hopeless Hallum. There's also 2 more individual issues that were written specifically for this event. The first one is Spider-Women Alpha number 1, which comes first, and Spider-Women Omega number 1, which comes last and sort of puts a wrapper on the entire story. What's neat about this Alpha and Omega issues is that all 3 writers collaborate on both issues together with all 3 characters, which is pretty neat. If you want more information on these characters, you're going to have to check out some other episodes that have been produced. Firstly, 2 episodes from the podcast We Like Comics Because They Have No Bones. Episode number 11 on Edge of Spider-Verse, which features Gwen Stacy, or Spider-Gwen, or Spider-Woman, as she's called in her universe. Episode number 12, Spider-Woman Origin, which is the origin of Spider-Woman, a.k.a. Jessica Drew. And then the last episode of SpideyJoe's One Shots features information on Cindy Moon, a.k.a. Silk. So make sure you tune into those episodes for more information. If you need a second to go do that, go ahead and do that now, and I'll wait for you to come back. All right, so whether you've just listened to those episodes and you're back, or you've already heard them and you're ready to move on, let's get right into the story. So we start off where the ladies meet on Prime Earth using their interdimensional watches to go out for brunch because, crime fighters need a break every now and then, of course. So they go to Earth 65 to discuss the recent events from Spider-Verse and how Cindy seems to be adjusting pretty well, considering that she was locked in a bunker for years. She came out to find that her family was missing, and then she got involved in this interdimensional war with spider creatures and other creatures wanting to eat those spider creatures, and it was kind of a lot to process, but she seems to be adjusting as far as they can tell, so it's pretty much a miracle she can even speak in complete sentences at this point. So deep in thought, Cindy wonders, is there a version of me on Earth 65? Because, anytime we get involved in these interdimensional antics, somebody always wonders, is there another me out there? Because they say we all have a twin, so maybe we all have a doppelganger on another Earth, because, comics. So if there is, that Cindy Moon might have a family that exists here, and maybe this Cindy Moon could get some answers as to her family's disappearance. Of course, Jess immediately shuts the idea down because she knows better. And then they go to take a coffee break at a place called Starbucks Coffee, where Jess proceeds to buy a whole lot of merchandise to play a joke on the Tony Stark from her universe. Of course, what can go wrong when there are 3 superheroes taking a break? Well, that's right. Their brunch break is broken by a breakfast buffet of one big bad bot. A giant robot called the Super Adaptoid starts rampaging through town, conveniently next to the coffee shop, such that the ladies can look out the window and immediately know what's going on. Naturally, they all brought their costumes with them, so they're able to change and get out there to go and investigate. Fortunately, Jess is familiar with the Super Adaptoid, so she's able to lead the group into a strategy that's able to take it down without getting their superpowers stolen in the process. Jess remarks, if everything is this easy on Earth 65, I could be a one-woman Avengers in this universe. But unfortunately, Gwen's PR is worse than even J. Jonah Jameson could imagine, so they have to flee the scene before the cops start taking notice of their presence. Unfortunately, that battle was only a distraction, as the girls soon find out that the interdimensional watch that they used to come over to this brunch date is missing. And we find out later it was actually stolen by a spider-looking henchman who delivers it to his boss, who then steps through a portal to investigate the so-called Earth 616, or our Prime Earth. And it's revealed right away that this mysterious crime boss is none other than Cindy Moon's doppelganger from Earth 65. What? Jess gets a lead, and so she heads out to a playground to meet a school kid, and he's the only kid in the entire group who seems to be skipping school to study. So he wasn't really that hard to track down, considering that he gave the other kids some rackets that appear to trap other kids in floating pink bubbles. That's right. We get to meet the Reed Richards of Earth 65. Jess approaches and tries to introduce herself, but she kind of bumbles through it. But fortunately, Reed immediately cuts her off to say he'll help. Why? Well, he's a Reed Richards, lady. He was meeting dimension hoppers before he could tie his shoes. Meanwhile, our Cindy tracks down her doppelganger family, and they haven't heard from her in 3 years, so not really much luck there. She's starting to find out her alternate version is actually a bit of a jerk, so she goes looking for her to give her a piece of her mind, of course. She traces her back to a giant skyscraper where everyone lets her right in and opens a secret door to a secret hideout to discover that her variant is not a pop star, but a crime boss. Great. And all the while, the evil Cindy Moon is committing crimes in broad view of security cameras, and when our Cindy gets back to her universe, she has a lot of explaining to do. Double great. Eventually, our heroines are able to return to Earth 616 via an interdimensional portal created by Reed Richards, of course, made out of Legos. Yep, he's a Reed Richards, all right. They confront Cindy's twisted sister, who reveals she was almost bitten by a radioactive spider, but it was squashed instead, so she went on to become a research scientist working for S.H.I.E.L.D. and experimenting on spiders. And then the big reveal. She is responsible for creating the spider that gave Gwen her spider powers. And then a fight ensues, and Cindy unleashes spider nanites that take away Gwen's spider powers. Eventually, the team recovers from this, which is quite a lot to recover from, and Gwen gets a hold of a device that administers isotopes to temporarily restore her powers. She uses this during the final conflict to subdue the evil Cindy Moon, and then they cart her off to S.H.I.E.L.D., who drops her into a super prison. Jess remarks that she has her own silk bunker, which is funny because our Cindy Moon sent her a care package consisting of relics from the 1990s, just like she had in her very own bunker when she was being hidden away from the inheritors, along with a note, "From my bunker to yours." I don't think that evil Cindy was amused. The story then concludes with the ladies remarking that this will probably come back to bite them, but as of the start of 2022, no big bad bug biting has been... she hasn't come back yet. These are some of my favorite characters, so of course I really liked this crossover event, and I thought it was written really well as a mini crossover to where we have sort of a side adventure, but it doesn't take the entire universe to solve the issue, and it doesn't derail the issues that are going on in the other series that are out there. So it's really nice to not have that disruption. I also like that all three of the writers not only collaborated on their individual series, but they also collaborated together on the Spider-Women Alpha and Spider-Women Omega issues, which is really neat to see. You know, we have a story about three characters that are collaborating, and we also have three writers that are collaborating to write this story. So I thought it was a really enjoyable story. I thought that they did the characters really well, and they also took away some things that each of the characters could use to grow their character arcs in their stories after this point. So it was nice to have an event that sort of fit together and also furthered the story of our hero characters instead of just being kind of a one-off where you have an episode of something that happens and then we forget that it ever happened. This is something that comes back, at least in discussion, and also sparks future storylines that happen in these series. What I didn't like was the ever-changing art style. So you have Spider-Woman Alpha #1, which was penciled by Vanessa Del Rey. I just couldn't get into it because it looked really grainy and not very detailed. Spider-Woman 6 and 7, we had Joelle Jones taking over for Javier Rodriguez, but he penciled the first 5 issues of the series up to this point and resumes penciling with number 8. So I don't know why that person took over for this event, but I think their style made Jess look way too young and innocent, and I didn't like it as much as I liked Javier Rodriguez's style before and after. Spider-Gwen 7 and 8, someone by the name of Bengal took over for Robbie Rodriguez, who had penciled 5 of the first 6 issues up to this point, and then resumes again penciling with issue number 9. Same sort of predicament. The art in this looks to me like the style where they draw everybody as children. It just didn't work for me. Silk 7 and 8 was penciled by Tana Ford, who penciled most of Silk's 19-issue run from 2015 through 2017, along with a few other people as well. This one actually is probably my least favorite because everything looks like really fluid and cartoony and just like loosey-goosey. It just didn't work for me. And then finally, Spider-Woman Omega. That was penciled by Nico Leon. This style definitely looks like it was taken right out of an animated TV series. It's kind of cool. Again, not my favorite. I think the art overall in this was really, it just changed too much, which maybe is a good thing because I didn't like most of it. But the art in the actual series proper outside of this event is really good. So, I don't know, take that for what you will. But aside from the art, the characters, the writing, the story, the collaboration is all great. I definitely recommend this to anyone who enjoys the quippy quirks of Spider-Peeps. All right, well, that's a wrap for this one. Don't forget to check out our podcast, We Like Comics Because They Have No Bones, on anchor.fm/bonelesscomicspodcast, our website, bonelesscomicspodcast.wordpress.com, and our YouTube channel, tinyurl.com/bonelesscomicspodcast. Give us a like, subscribe to us, send us your comments with your thoughts on our podcast. You can also find us on social media at Boneless Comics Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and at Boneless Comics 1 on Twitter. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll get you later.
We like
Comics?
because they have